Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Falcoholic Live, episode 346 to be exact. I am your host, Kevin Knight, joined by my co host, Adnan Ikic. We are here to bring you guys some great takes about the Falcons' big Week 2 win over the Minnesota Vikings. Exciting stuff, great game. Also, going to be talking about Atlanta's opportunity now to make a statement not only to the NFC South, but the rest of the NFL by what they do against the Panthers in week 3, which I think is very important for our sort of perspective on this team. But before we get to it, Adnan, a week of victory. Hopefully not the last one, right? But how are you doing so far?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. We got some Falcoholic after dark action happening here too, as we'll probably be out here after 10 p.m. So after the safe harbor broadcasting period. I mean, not that it really matters on YouTube. But yeah, no, I'm feeling great. This was a big win. I thought that the Falcons would pull it out. I did not think that it would be as decisive as it was. Um, I mean, the Falcons blew them out. It didn't feel like a blowout. It wasn't a blowout throughout most of it. It was mostly a one possession game. But now that the game is over, now that we can look back, reevaluate, reassess, it's a game that the team completely controlled from start to finish.
Yeah,
And that's a very rare thing when it comes to Falcons football.
yeah, no doubt about it. Certainly not the game I was expecting to see on Sunday. It's not really a game that we're accustomed to seeing the Falcons play, much less win in decisive fashion. So that was a little bit of a shock to the system, probably for Falcons fans and for the NFL at large. That the Falcons have a defense that not only they can help them win games for a change, but they can rely on it. I mean, that was kind of the game plan in this game, was to lean on the defense, which is it's a different experience. So that was cool. But again, thanks guys so much for joining us for the Falcoholic Live presented by FanDuel. We're going to be getting into some week 2 takes because I haven't heard Adnan's take on the game yet, so we got to get that. And then, of course, transitioning to some injury report updates for you guys. Got some interesting updates from Wednesday, and then, of course, talking about this Panthers game, which any division game is important, but I think this one's important for several reasons, mainly convincing us that this team is legit. I think this week can go a long way to convincing us by how they play this week. So Adnan, let's start with week 2. I feel like I've talked about it ad nauseum, so I'm curious what you thought. I mean, what were your sort of expectations going in versus what you ended up seeing on Sunday?
I expected the Falcons to win. I talked about it last week on Wednesday. I thought that this was going to be a game that the team was, going to pull out. But I thought it would have been more of a coin flip, honestly, because I sort of expected more from the Vikings defense, which the Vikings defense I think was fine. Scoreline notwithstanding, like they gave up 22, but most of that was due to short fields. I did not expect the Falcons defense to look that stout and dominant. Now, we do have to give the caveat. Christian Darrisaw was out, the Vikings left tackle. Ryan Kelly left the game early, the Vikings starting center. Those are two massive pieces. Arguably, they're two best offensive linemen, but it's the NFL. Nobody cares. Like nobody is going to feel sorry for you because of your injuries. The Falcons are down to their third string right tackle, and honestly, we'll talk about it a little bit during the injury report of period. But the first 3 weeks of the season, the Falcons have actually been healthier along the offensive line than all of their opponents. When you give the comparison. And the other caveat is that they were facing, in my opinion, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think right now any starter is worse than JJ McCarthy. I think. Look, I'm not a JJ McCarthy believer. Like, I've
Really?
made it known. I've made. I personally think JJ McCarthy's ceiling, like in the NFL, is like being maybe the 15th or 16th best quarterback in the league. Like, I think his ceiling is maybe like late stage career Derek Carr. And I think right now he's just like terrible and it isn't even fit for an NFL field, which he hasn't been for 7 out of 8 quarters. But that's neither here nor there. Like that's Minnesota's problem. Like I'm glad that's not our problem. Um, he can't even throw it to the left. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. But the Falcons went out there and they sort of you have to take advantage of some of these inferior like players and opponents, and that's something that the Falcons haven't been able to do for years, especially on defense. How many times have we seen it over the years where the Atlanta Falcons have faced a team that's banged up, a team that has poor offensive linemen, a team that has injuries across the offensive line, and then they go out there, they get 3 pressures and no sacks.
Yeah.
It's happened too often. It's happened more often than we're comfortable with. And it wasn't a thing in this game because the Falcons defense went out there and they absolutely crushed Minnesota. I mean, from the very word go, Atlanta dominated both trenches. It was the I don't remember the last time the Falcons had that dominant of a performance on the offensive line and defensive line, because even the O line, Bijan Robinson, like they made some avenues for him. I think Bijan ended with more yards than the entire Vikings offense, which is a ridiculous stat. But yeah, overall, it was there was a lot to be desired from the offense. And I mean, I think we'll get to that here pretty soon. The offense, they have to do better against a better team, against a better opponent. That's not going to get it done. Like they had a short field so many times they could not break through, and for the longest time, this game was not comfortable. This game
Yeah.
should have been immensely comfortable for the Falcons throughout the second half, and it just wasn't because they were settling for field goal after field goal after field goal. You have got to punch that ball in. At one point, they had the ball, I think, in Minnesota territory, like inside the 23 times on their first 3 drives, and they ended up with 2 field goals and 1 Drake London fumble, or they were inside the like Minnesota 30. They had like ridiculously good field position. You have got to finish these drives. You can get away with it against Minnesota. You can possibly get away with it against Carolina. You're not getting away with it against Buffalo. You're not getting away with it against San Francisco. You're not getting away with it against some of these later opponents that you're going to be facing. So the offense needs to sort of tighten up a little bit. But the defense, I have nothing but praise. The pass rush was absolutely incredible. The rookies were absolutely incredible. Like they made an impact. Billy Bowman played very well. It's a shame that he didn't get credit for that interception, the one that dropped, and then he still ran back. Although I tweeted it out, I'm still happy that he sort of ran that ball back, because how many opportunities do you get as a defensive player to run with a live ball? But he had an interception, another interception. Xavier Watts had a pick to end the game. James Pierce was harassing McCarthy in the backfield all game. Jalen Walker had a sack. Brandon Dorlus had a sack and a half. I really was impressed by Brandon Dorlus's performance. Zach Harrison had a sack and a half. This was everything you dreamed of as a Falcons fan. When it comes to a defensive performance and when it comes to doing it on the national stage. And I would be remiss if I did not mention John Parker Romo coming in here cold, just came to the team, and he goes, what was it, 5 for 5?
Yeah.
Some of those were shaky, but it went through the upright. That first kick was very shaky. It barely goes in, but first kick jitters, still made it. Drains that 54-yarder, and that was a huge kick because that made it a 2-possession game. That made it 15-6. If you miss that one, the Vikings have great field positioning, and this game's all of a sudden turned on its head. Falcons did get a little lucky that J.J. McCarthy, terrible, overshot Jalen Naylor on that wide open pass down the field. I think this game could have been different if he hits that, but he didn't. So it wasn't different, and the Falcons came away with it. Huge win. Huge NFC win. This team could not afford to start 0-2 with this schedule that's coming up after Carolina. And honestly, now things sort of look to be trending in a good direction, because you get the Panthers and that, another terrible quarterback this week in Bryce Young. And then after the Panthers, you get what looks to be a banged up Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. And then you go into your bye week. The only thing is no AJ Terrell, so that cornerback depth is really going to be tested. But outside of losing Terrell, I think it was a fantastic, fantastic night for the Falcons.
Yeah, and the Terrell thing, it's like I was terrified as soon as that happened, right? That this was like, okay, this is over. Now Justin Jefferson's about to take over this game. And like, D. Alford is not been, praised universally on this show. I know he's not the biggest fans of us either. But I thought he held up just fine. I thought the coverage was mostly tight, and we talked about that. It's like, yeah, I mean, D may just have really struggled in that Jimmy Lake scheme like everybody else. Maybe he is, maybe some of the things he was saying are justified, right? And it does sound like there's going to be a competition this week to determine who will start there, whether that's D. Alford, who got the shot on Sunday, Natrone Brooks Hive, this is your time, CJ Henderson, who the team is probably going to elevate off the practice squad, would be my guess. It may also be a matchup thing, with Tet McMillan kind of being the focal point of the Panthers offense. Maybe they want CJ Henderson for his size advantage. I'm curious to see where they go there, but you're right. It's like the Falcons were not exactly healthy going into this game either. And like, this is just the nature of the NFL. You're going to be down guys. You have to find ways to win or not. And like you said, so often have we seen Atlanta not capitalize on offensive line injuries. It's like, it doesn't even, like, don't even bother checking the injury report, right? Because it doesn't matter. The Falcons aren't going to get pressure anyway. It doesn't matter who's out there. And that's absolutely not the case with this defense. And, they were generating an enormous amount of pressure, constant pressure on JJ McCarthy. And McCarthy was responsible for some of those sacks, right? I mean, I think a more veteran quarterback probably gets the ball away. But still, I mean, very impressive to put the pressure on, to be able to cover. Like, Justin Jefferson is one of one type of receiver. Like, even if there aren't a lot of complementary options, it's still hard to keep him down. And a big part of that is obviously the assist from, again, JJ McCarthy, who was not really playing at a high level for sure. But Atlanta did what they needed to do. They stopped the ground game too, which was supposed to be a strength of this Vikings offense. I mean, the Falcons shut it down. Obviously, Aaron Jones got hurt, but I mean, a lot of people were more excited about what Jordan Mason could bring than Aaron Jones. So, that was not a factor either.
The Falcons seem to be, and Chris Collinsworth called it out on the, I think, very first drive. The Falcons dared JJ McCarthy to beat them. Like, they brought that extra linebacker down into the box, and they were going to key in on the run. Shout out to Jeff Ulbrich for the strategy. I couldn't have come up with it better myself, because it's like, yeah, shut down the run and, force their rookie making his second start, who looked awful outside of, half a quarter last week, to beat you. And I mean, JJ McCarthy just couldn't. Like, he looked like a deer in headlights. He was really bad. Like, he was really bad in this game. He was really bad for 80% of the Bears game. I have no idea how he won NFC Player of the Week with less than 200 passing yards. But I guess that was just like, the voters and the media getting caught up in the Monday Night Football hype. But yeah, it's he's also, like, the Vikings came out of it. Aaron Jones, IR, JJ McCarthy, IR, which I think they'll probably have a better chance now with McCarthy out. But I'm hating on JJ McCarthy a lot. I do not believe in the prospect.
Your hate agenda is absolutely thriving right now. Like, I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I hope there's not some Vikings fans that find. I'm actually, even if they are, if there's any Vikings fans listening to this, your quarterback's a fraud, and he's probably gonna, like, be at best a game manager.
How can you be a fraud when you've played 2 games? Like, he was getting so glazed. It's just like we haven't even seen him play. Like, what are we doing here? Like, so yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, it's just it's sort of like, I don't even know how he's a fraud. It's like, what was fraudulent? Like, we didn't even see him play until now. So just the hype was out of control. I mean,
the hype was nuts. Like, I don't know what, like, all offseason I was listening to the hype of, like, how great JJ McCarthy was going to be, and it's like, what? I don't even think he averaged 200 yards in college, like, a game, and that was like, whatever. That's for the JJ McCarthy hate podcast, which apparently this probably is at this point. But yeah, like, the team did a great job. Like, the defensive strategy was incredible. Shut down the run, make the rookie beat you. Rookie could not beat you. And I mean, Jeff Ulbrich has pressed all the right buttons so far 2 weeks in. He'll have a chance to keep it going against the Panthers, and then, the real tests start beginning after that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, a really impressive game by the defense. I think it's the Bucks were obviously no slouch of an opponent. That's a serious performance there by the Falcons defense, and then the Vikings, still TBD in terms of how actually dangerous that offense is. But there's no doubt that it's talent filled. Um, so I think it's a pretty tough opening slate for these Falcons, and they performed like an elite defense through the first. They're the number one fantasy defense, which that doesn't really mean anything, but it is nice for anyone that claimed them today, like me. Um, I think, and it's a great matchup against the Panthers for fantasy purposes too. But like, they're the number two scoring defense. They're the number two total defense. I think they're like top five in adjusted yards per attempt, and I think their yards per carry allowed is a little bit lower, but like they're only allowing like 89 rush yards per game. I mean, there's really like this defense is remarkably stout. And like I would have been happy with this defense being like 18th. They're number two. I mean, this is the number two defense in the NFL through 2 weeks, which again, small sample size. It's really early. I don't think we should start thinking of this as an elite defense at this point. But 3, 4 more games. I mean, we
Yeah, I
might be
mean,
having that conversation. I didn't even think this would be on the table.
I didn't either, but also like I will just sort of pump the brakes a little
Yeah.
bit because remember, same time last year, 2 weeks in, the defense was also it wasn't looking like this. Like the defense single-handedly won the game. But remember last year, the defense like pretty much shut down the Steelers to nothing but like 6 field goals. And then they did a great job against the Philadelphia Eagles offense, which ended up being like one of the elite offenses in the league. So I mean, we were like praising the defense like very much so after 2 weeks last year, and then sort of it the reality started to hit. So I wouldn't go around saying the defense is elite just yet. But I mean, yeah, if they do this against the Commanders, and they do it against the Bills,
If they do it
then
against the Bills, then
they
yeah,
do it
for
against the
sure.
Bills, then it's like all right, we're
If
having
they
a
shut down
conversation.
the Bills, we're talking about this is the best defense in the NFL. So, but yeah, I agree. Like temper expectations, but I think like I'm no longer concerned about this defense being like a massive liability. I mean, I think that was absolutely on the table going into the season. It's like, yeah, maybe the defense still doesn't have the horses it needs. But right now, I feel good about this defense. Like, even if it's not what we've seen so far, which is like top
Yeah.
five level defense, again, if it is just like an average to above average defense, that would be fantastic. That would be awesome. So,
My thing is I think this defense is going to be exactly what this team needs as long as the key players and starters stay healthy.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's
my
important.
biggest issue with the defense coming into the year was the depth, and the depth is going to get tested here with AJ Terrell out, because I feel like that's one of the players you can least afford to lose on this unit because we see what that cornerback room is very passable with him with Mike Hughes, and then D Alfred's he's looked pretty good. But now you take out Terrell, now the depth starts getting tested. I feel like it's like that everywhere. Like as long as the players stay healthy, I think the defense is going to be serviceable. But my my fear is this is the NFL, and you just sort of never know who could go down and win. And then I don't think the depth is the best. But hopefully the team has some real injury luck this year, and if they do, then then we'll have some very pleasant conversations throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, for sure. We got a couple donations here. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Also, like and subscribe if you don't mind while you're here. We're trying to get to 10K subs this year, so if you're here and you can help us out with that, please do. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We've got Drew Elliott with the $2. Thank you, Drew. Says finally here for a victory stream to see Adnan happy. Yeah, we didn't get a lot of these last year. It felt very fleeting. So you get to get the happy Adnan today. You got to enjoy it while it lasts, people. Who knows how long we could have this? That's why I'm like full bore. It's like I want to just go all in now
Yeah.
because it's like I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to like do this reasonably. 2 weeks in, it's like okay, I feel like we can just really hype this team up right now. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do this for much longer. So we might as well
Yeah.
just go all in now. So
Yeah, I was so background. I was watching the game with some friends at a local Taco Mac. I don't know if the Taco Mac is like a nationally like a national chain around the West and like all that, but it's like sports bar like for those that don't know. And we're watching, and I remember it was after I think Xavier Watts got the interception, or after it was like the game was over, like pretty much, like the Falcons had won. And one of the guys was like, "Oh, like let's start heading out, let's start going." And I was like, "No, no, 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 like stop, like watch this Falcons victory formation, because I don't know how many of these we're gonna get."
I don't know how many stress-free like, and then we also had like Mike Ford with the special teams play of the year, just like screaming at the punt returner and making him drop the ball. That was one of the funniest plays I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, that was just like, I don't know how many of these like just truly triumphant victories we're gonna have, where it was like, I agree with you, like what you said earlier, where it was like this game felt very uncomfortable up until sort of like the last 5 minutes because the lead was not large, like at any point, up until like the touchdown was scored. But um I am holding the mic shock, yeah. I'm not at home. I'm in my childhood home in Florida actually right now. But um like I was saying, it was like just savor this. Like comfortable wins are very unusual for this team. We don't get a lot of these. So even if it was only for like the last 5 minutes that you could be comfortable, savor that. It's a rare feeling for this. Maybe we'll get more of them this year. That would be a nice surprise. But
Great, yeah.
that was nice. And going back and watching it like on rewatch, it feels very different because it's like, oh, the Falcons were actually never really threatened by this Vikings team, really. But like during the game, it felt like very tenuous because it was only like a 6 point lead or like a 9 point lead or whatever. But like watching it on rewatch, knowing that they win by 2 scores, it's like, oh yeah, this didn't even make the Falcons sweat really. So,
They didn't, but it's just like it's our sort of preconceived notions about this team, which are normally very, very correct most of the time. Of, oh, this team's going to blow it. They've absolutely dominated. They have controlled everything, and it's going to be like just one moment where everything flips on its head, and the Vikings are going to take the lead, and then we're just going to sort of we're just going to blow it. We're going to blow this great game by the defense. That was everybody's fear. And honestly, it sort of like wasn't too far off. Like that Naylor play where he was streaking down the field all alone, and if McCarthy hits him on that play, that's a touchdown. Vikings are down two. The Falcons, whose offense has not been able to move the ball very well, are all of a sudden getting the ball with their worst field positioning of the game. And with all the pressure in the world to not give the ball right back to Minnesota, and then it's like that Vikings crowd would have been completely in it. Their defense would have been hyped up, like the offense would have been confident, and then all of a sudden, like things can start sort of like just going downhill very, very quickly. Now, fortunately, it didn't happen, but it was stress free, but it really wasn't stress free. Like it was stressful for like 85% of the time, and then like in the end, it's like, oh great, we won. It was like that meme.
yeah.
It's like that meme of like, oh, I can't wait for my favorite team to play, and then it's like oh my god, this is the worst thing of all time. What the hell? And then it's like in the end, it's like, oh great, we won.
Yeah, that's pretty much the Falcons' experience most days. So this was a nice little a little bit longer of that. Not, oh, great, we won. We got to experience that for like 20% of the time instead of like 5% of the time. But yeah, I mean, this was, I think, this was a critical win. I mean, we talked about it last week. Like, you had to find a win, whether it was this game or the Commanders game. You don't want it to have to be the Bills game. You don't want that to be the case. That's not going to go well for you if you go into that game needing a win. But I like that they didn't waste any time. We got it here. We got the win that you can't go 0-2. Like, you just can't. It's bad for morale. I mean, I've never felt more in sync with Raheem Morris than when he was like, somebody asked him, was like, oh, are you happy you don't have to talk about 0-2? He's like, yeah, I'm ecstatic. It's like, yeah, I feel exact same way. Like, there's nothing I would like more than to not talk about this team being 0-2. So they avoid it. They avoid it handily. They look great doing it. So,
But at the same time, it means nothing if you fumble this Panthers.
yeah. That's the next step that we have to take, and that's an important game. It's a critical one.
You must not like look. I feel like this is. It feels ridiculous to call Week 3 a must-win game, but when you look at the context, you really have to have this one. Game at home.
Yeah.
Game at home against the Carolina Panthers, the worst team, or one of the worst teams in the league, over the past few years. Um, you're playing them at home, and you have a sort of a gauntlet schedule coming up right after this game. When we were talking about it, we cannot go 1-2 going into that very difficult stretch, and we assumed that one of those wins was going to be Carolina. Like, it would have been a disaster if this team was at 1-2 after 3 weeks. And now I feel like it'll be even more of a disaster if they were 1-2 after 3 weeks, because that means you'll have dropped two division games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that this win on Sunday was big. It feels great, but it's not going to feel so good if you don't beat Carolina. You have got to emphasize that win with another win. Like, there, you have no choice. This has to be a win. It is, if you want to be serious about like the playoff picture, if you want to be serious about keeping up with the Bucks, who won again. They beat the Texans. Thanks a lot, Houston, by the way, for
Thanks for
not
nothing. Yeah.
a lot for not sacking Baker on 4th and 10 with a free shot. But Tampa's continuing to get it done, and if you want to keep up with them, you cannot drop these kinds of games. You have got to win, and I really think and I really hope that the Falcons go out there and they just handle business. I hope this is another stress-free win, because there's no excuse for it not to be.
Yeah, no, this Panthers game is critical. I think this is a great opportunity for the Falcons to make a statement with a big win here. It's really important, obviously, for the division reasons. We're going to get deep into this game, talk about the injury report here in just a second. I want to get to these donations before I forget. Thank you guys so much. Furball with the $5, saying, so my issue is the passing game needs fixing. My question is, should we pass more than we did last week? I don't know how good the Panthers are on defense. I can tell you the Panthers are not good on defense. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. If you look at, so this is where stats can lie, right? If you look at the raw passing yardage allowed, which you shouldn't do, look at adjusted yards per attempt, or adjusted net yards per attempt if you're a true sicko. And the same thing with rush defense. Look at yards per carry. It's much more meaningful. You look at the Panthers' raw passing yardage, they look like a top 12, top 15 passing defense, a respectable passing defense. You look at the adjusted yards per attempt, they're a bottom 5 passing defense. They give up tons of yardage per attempt. That's the truth about where the Panthers are as a pass defense. If you look at their yards per carry, they're like the second or third worst rush defense. That's not a good thing against this Falcons team, who has shown against the Vikings that they are fully committed to, if you can't stop the run, they will totally run the ball against you as much as they can. Like, they don't even care. They will run the ball all day until you can't stop it anymore, until you hate your life, which is what they did against the Bucks. They basically ran the ball until Tyler Algier was just like, they just couldn't tackle him anymore. I mean, they were like, yeah, just let him score. Like, there's no, we're not stopping this. So, yeah, the Panthers are not a good defense. I think the Falcons should pass more, and I hope this is the week, because the Panthers also have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. I believe Nick Bonito himself, great pass rusher, has more pressures himself than the Panthers defense. So, the Panthers don't rush the passer well. They don't cover particularly well, although I think they cover better than they rush the passer. Not necessarily saying much. They're a bad run defense. This is, I think, the perfect game to unleash play action, to get the passing game more involved. But at the same time, the Falcons are probably just going to lean on the run as much as they can and mix it up as needed. But they may not need to pass a whole lot if the run game is dominant. Like, if it looks like it did against the Vikings, and it should look better because the Vikings are a much better run defense, they might not really need to pass much. Should they pass a little more? I think so. I think it would be good. But again, it's like, if you don't have to take chances, if you don't really have to put the ball in the air and risk it, because the Panthers have two good corners, J.C. Horn and I think Mike. I'm blanking on his name now. Mike Jackson.
Mike Jackson, yeah. And future Falcon J.C. Horn, yeah.
Yeah, right. Jerry, he loves nothing more than those first round corners. J.C. Horn, future Falcon for sure. But yeah, I think they will pass more. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's still like run heavy against this defense in particular. But we'll see. And then we got Alex Foster with the $5. Thank you, Alex. Says, I don't care if the Panthers are bad. We can't underestimate them. Want touchdowns from everyone. I need Jack Nelson to score to feel comfortable. Well, I wouldn't put money on that one. But yeah.
I wonder what odds you could get.
Yeah, that I don't even think they would give you odds on that. That's so crazy. Like they wouldn't even want to risk it, just in case it happened. But that would be the true sicko play. Like, oh, you know what the solution for our red zone woes is? Pass to Jack Nelson, who wasn't even
Ooh.
active because he's been hurt. But yeah, um, but yeah, the Falcon again. This is what we were talking about it, and like, let me check because this has actually been moving like every day. Okay, so this the Falcons line. So this is per FanDuel, guys. So early last week, the Falcons were 3.5 point road favorites over the Panthers. Pretty good. Um, then during the game, they went up to 4.5 point favorites. Now they are 5.5 point favorites. So they have been climbing pretty much every day here. So yeah, I mean the Falcons are 5.5 point road favorites is like more or less a touchdown favorite, like in a neutral stadium. So yeah, I
Well,
mean
uh, yeah, they are playing in Carolina. Sorry,
yeah,
that's my mistake from earlier. I said they were playing at home. They're playing in Carolina.
in Carolina Stadium. Yeah, yeah, I knew what you meant. But yeah, I mean, they do need to. I think they really need a big win here. If they want the NFL to take them seriously, they can't. I mean, at the end of the day, if they just scrape by and get a win, it's not that big a deal. But I think they need to make a statement here, Adnan. Like they've been like billing themselves as a contender, and like I haven't really believed it. Like I thought they're probably like a 10-ish win team, but that's pretty tenuous in the grand scheme of like actually contending. They view themselves, I think, as more than just this fringe playoff contender. And if they want people to take them seriously as that, you gotta beat the crap out of the Panthers this week. You gotta win convincingly. It's a division game. You're not gonna blow them out of the water or anything. But like, a touchdown, a comfortable touchdown plus margin. I mean, maybe like a slight, like a 10 point win, technically two score win. Like, just you need a convincing win over an inferior opponent. Like, and you need to shut up the Panthers fans because the Panthers fans like went way too far. Like, and
Yeah, that,
like I
I
mean, it was
was gonna bring it
crazy.
up. Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. I am bit like, who didn't see this coming? Like we all saw. Like it was one of the things. It's like, why argue with the Panthers fans like over the offseason? Why argue when you can just wait? Like you knew September was going to come, and you knew they were going to come crashing back down to earth, and it's honestly happened just as quickly as I thought it would, because that team is 0-2, and yeah, they are just like I think their fan base sees that no, they're not gonna win 7, 8, 9 games. Like, and by the way, like I am completely unmoved by Bryce Young's like 320 yards of straight garbage time against the Arizona Cardinals in a game where they were down what 27-6
Yeah,
for
and they,
like
they lost two starting corners too in that
yeah,
game.
it's like oh yeah, great job. Like Bryce Young got like a new career high in passing yards. Like he was stat padding more than Drew Brees in the playoffs. Like it was shameless. Like I'm completely unmoved. I'm unmoved by Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is a fraud. I've been saying it all off season. I do not believe in this Panthers team one bit, and I'm actually very very happy that they think Bryce Young is the franchise, because all that means is that they are delaying the inevitable of moving on from him, rebuilding, and maybe building something that can actually be a threat to anyone in the NFL. Because I'm with you. I think the Falcons need to go out there, not just it's obviously first and foremost a division game, like you said, you want to make a statement, but also go out and take that game in Week 18 personally last year. I would love to see the players come out with a chip on their shoulders, because I mean the Panthers were sort of like stunting on them a little bit, especially on defense. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
the offense has nothing to hang their hat on. Like
yeah,
the offense did everything in their power, and the defense just, I mean, Jimmy Lake just that was the
yeah,
worst. That was the worst schemed game that I've ever seen in my life.
Jimmy
Let's be
Lake
honest.
stunk up the joint, and I mean, like Bryce Young was like throwing the ball and turning around before it like got there, and it was just like, bro, like have some have some pride, have some decency. If you're the Falcons defense, go out there and shut the shit out of them. For go out there and have a long memory, remember what happened last year, and just sort of take it to them and punch them in the face in this game. Punch them in the face, because you're bigger, you're better, and they can't do anything about it. I hope that they go out there with that sort of killer mentality, they say, let's go take care of business. It's a business trip in Carolina. Let's come back 2-1 after bludgeoning our rivals who've been talking nothing but shit all off season, and let's kick them to 0-3 into yet another miserable season, which is all they've known for the past I don't even know how many years. Like, the Falcons have been rough the past 7 years. The Panthers have been, excuse my language, they've been dog shit in that same time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, go out there, and the Panthers are no better now, like than they have been at the start of that rebuild.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't really taken the step forward. I mean, last year they again, like you've been saying it all offseason, like that you were really thinking that like flash in the pan from Bryce at the end of the season was fool's gold, and again, we both knew that like that performance against the Falcons should not have been taken seriously. I mean, we tried to tell everyone that, but yeah, I mean, like getting into this game a little bit more. The injury reports, it's pretty much the good news for the Falcons. Darnell Mooney is continuing to practice. DeMarco Hellam's continuing to practice. They're limited, but they are practicing. Caden Ellis is now on there, limited with a neck injury, but I'm not really sensing any concern there. Jack Nelson is back to limited, so that's an upgrade for him from last week. Casey Washington also limited, which that means he's getting close to returning since he's begun practicing. Jamal Agnew still DNP. Not great. Don't like that. AJ Terrell is a DNP with the hamstring. He's week to week. We don't really know what that means. I seriously
Means he's
doubt
not
he will
playing
play
this
this
week.
week. Yeah. I think it's on the table for him to play like soon. Otherwise, they put him on IR, but they probably feel like they don't really need to. It doesn't seem like it's that serious, but they're probably not going to push him back for this week. Whether it's justified or not, they seem pretty confident in who they have to back him up, and it is the Panthers, theoretically. So they'll probably just hope they can get through.
I
But
feel like the presence of that bye week, hamstrings are tricky.
they
Like
are, yeah,
hamstrings are a very lingering injury, and if the Falcons don't manage this correctly, it's going to affect AJ Terrell all season. I think the fact that you do have that bye week so early, and by the way, that bye week has turned into a blessing for the Falcons after we talked so much trash about it when the schedule first got released, because Storm Norton is probably on the verge of returning after it, and now you can rest AJ Terrell. Like, I would not be surprised at all, and I would actually endorse, yeah, holding Terrell out this week, holding him out next week, and then having that bye week, and you give him a full 3 weeks off, going into that big monster matchup against Josh Allen and the Bills, and hopefully at around 100%. I think the bye week will have them erring on the side of caution a little bit more.
yeah, I agree. I agree. That's probably what we will see, unless it really is minor, But yeah, especially if they win this game, I feel like they're not going to rush him back. For the Commanders, like that is a tough matchup, but if you're 2-1 going into that game, you probably just roll the dice, especially if like whoever replaces him plays well. So we'll see. James Pierce Jr. is DNP with a groin. However, he did play all last week, and again, people like kind of forget that he did what he did last week when he was limited all week with a groin injury. So like he's not even 100%. Which is really impressive. So I'm hoping he didn't get worse. We'll see. Obviously, he did finish the game, and then this could be mostly like we're just gonna let him rest. We don't really need to force him out here. So we're looking for Pierce's status to improve over the week, but that's definitely one to monitor. And then Charlie Werner, DNP with an ankle. Again, we don't know much about the seriousness of that. I mean, they didn't really talk about it today, which leads me to believe that it might just be sort of maintenance type stuff, and then they just don't want to rush him back. But we'll see there. Any big concerns with the Falcons? Obviously, we're concerned about Terrell missing time, but we kind of knew that was going to be the case. Any of these other guys that you're worried about at this point, not on?
Not on Wednesday. Like admittedly, Wednesday's not. It's the least important practice day of the three. If there is a downgrade, or if there's more concerns that pop up over the next couple of days, then it's like, okay, like there's a bit more, there may be a bit more there, but right now, like, Wednesdays are sort of just it could be any number of things. It could just be the team saying, all right, we're gonna limit some snaps, and we're gonna keep this guy fresh a little bit for this week. But I think the Falcons are, as of right now, in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll monitor some of these, but they do have some guys getting healthy, thankfully. And then hopefully what we're seeing with Pierce and Werner is more precautionary, and they'll be back practicing by the end of the week. If they're not practicing by Friday, that will obviously be a big concern. Those are two important players for Atlanta. For the Panthers, the big news actually came earlier this week where they put Robert Hunt, who, I mean, maybe Taylor Moton you could say is their best offensive lineman, but if it's not Moton, it's Robert Hunt was their best offensive lineman. He goes on IR with a torn bicep. He might be out for the year. Center Austin Corbett, who was a nice find for them last year, was actually pretty good for them. He's also out for the foreseeable future with a torn MCL. Two starting interior linemen down at the same time. And Ikem Ekwonu just got back from his own injury, so he's not 100%. He is practicing, so good for him. But yeah, those two interior injuries are a major loss for this Panthers team, who Bryce Young, like when he's looked good, it's when this offensive line's been firing on all cylinders and they can keep him clean. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL under pressure, so that's not a good situation for him right now. In terms of their injury report, it's not super long, but Patrick Jones II, who is one of their primary rotational defensive line players, he did not practice with a hamstring injury. That's concerning. And then Tershawn Wharton, who again is one of their primary rotational guys on the defensive line, also not practicing with a hamstring injury. He missed last week's game as well. Xavier Legette's limited with a hamstring. That might end up being a plus for them, seeing as he somehow had negative yardage on 7 targets. So I think they probably would have been benching him no matter what. But
that man over Latin Monkey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a miss for me. I was a Xavier Legette guy. I wonder if in a better situation he'd be playing better, but definitely it looks like a miss for me. And then Bryson Tremaine, who's one of their depth receivers, was practicing fully, but he's listed with a quadriceps injury. And then they have 2 other guys getting a rest day. So yeah, I mean, 2 defensive linemen down on an already thin defensive line, not great. And then the big story, obviously, 2 interior starters. Maybe I would say they're 2 best interior players, both out for almost, if not the whole season, most of it. I mean, that is major, major news for this Panthers team.
Yeah, huge. They're probably going to have Cade Mays starting at center. And Chandler Zavala is going to be their starter at right guard. But yeah, that's massive. I mean, look, man, nobody feels sorry for you. It is what it is, and that's what I was bringing up earlier. The Vikings, no Darisaw, and ending up with no Ryan Kelly. The Bucks with no Tristan Wirfs, and now the Panthers without their 2 best interior guys. Like the Falcons have sort of been fortunate or the Falcons defense has been fortunate to be coming up on these offensive lines that are just truly banged up to start the season, and so far they've taken advantage of it. They had 60% pressure rate against JJ McCarthy last week or this week, and they had like a 40% pressure rate against the Buccaneers in week 1. So it doesn't seem to be like those Falcons defenses of the past, which, like I mentioned, it's like other team is missing 2 offensive linemen and the team gets 2 pressures on the quarterback all game and no hits. And I'm expecting the Falcons defense to really sort of feast in this game. I would, definitely start them in fantasy this week because, yeah, like you said, Bryce Young is terrible under pressure. I think the team is going to once again do a very similar strategy as against Minnesota, which is try to shut down that run game. Chuba Hubbard is one of the best things that team has going for them. So if you can sort of, take him out of the equation, if you can force Bryce Young to beat you and Bryce Young under pressure to beat you, I can live with whatever is going to happen there, because I think it'll be nothing but good things for the Falcons. But yeah, it's a really, really good chance for the Falcons to once again, just like last game, really sort of dominate the trenches a little bit. The only sort of wrench that could be thrown there is Derek Brown, who's still very, very good and arguably the Panthers' best player. But outside of that, they don't really have much going for them. It's kind of crazy. Like, that team's been rebuilding forever, and then you look at the roster and it's like, yeah, this sucks. Like, what the hell were you guys doing with all those draft picks? Which, I mean, we know it's like they were trading them for a bust, like with the number one overall pick.
Yeah. That's obviously huge, giving up all those assets for Bryce Young when they had Baker Mayfield in the building, right? Did you see that tweet? It was perfect. It was like, can't believe like a team, traded away Baker Mayfield and then, traded a bunch of picks to get, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL who's turned out to be a giant waste. Sucks for the Carolina Panthers. It's like, okay, you
Well,
had me in the first half. Yeah.
when you put it that way, like it just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in one of those picks that they traded ended up being the number one overall pick the next year.
Yeah, that's not great. You don't like that. You never like that one. That one hurts. That one stings. Not for me. I enjoy it personally, but
I
um,
I, love it. I personally love what I mean. It seems like David Tepper like came in there, and it's that new owner syndrome, right? It's like, and it happens in so many sports. We
yeah,
saw it happen. We've seen it happen twice in the NBA with Mikhail Prokhorov with the Nets, and then the new owner of the Suns, Matt Ishbia, like a few years ago, and with David Tepper as well with Carolina. New owner comes in and he just thinks he can light the world on fire. He thinks, oh, I'm going to come in, I'm going to, flex a little bit, I'm going to spend some money, and I want a contender immediately. Right now, right away. Like I want to win right now, and you sort of put that pressure on the front office. You make it so that your front office guys can't really do their job properly. They can't be patient, which is what's needed in the NFL a lot of the time. And then you end up just sort of having miserable seasons as a result of the fallout after not really having any real success. And then it takes years to sort of, dig through that shrapnel and to try and rebuild yourself to just get back into the position you were already in when that guy took over ownership. It's just sort of it's the worst phenomenon a team can go through because nobody can tell the owner anything. But these owners, man, like they have their whole lives, they've probably never been told no. They've had like a lot, they've obviously had a lot of success in their lives, and they just don't know how to respond when they come into an environment with 31 other guys who have the same resources as them uh, in a very, very competitive league where everyone is sort of fighting each other in a dog eat dog world.
yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Panthers just yeah, I mean it's all about Bryce Young for them, and obviously the returns this year are not very positive. He looks more like I mean, and again, and this is what I think everyone would have cautioned Panthers fans about is like, look, it's much more likely that the larger sample size you've seen is the accurate one, not the few games where he looked good. It's much more likely that like the 16 games we've seen where he looked garbage, that's much more likely to be Bryce Young. Um, and it's like he is one of those guys that can look good. I think like he's one of those guys that if everything's right around him, he could probably look pretty good. Um,
But
but
that's every quarterback in the league, pretty much.
well, not every quarterback,
Well,
but
many
but
quarterbacks, like the vast
most,
majority of
yeah, most
quarterbacks, like
quarterbacks, yes. Anyone with any either it's perfect or you go play with Kyle Shanahan, in which case that also counts. But Mac Jones is another probably example of a Bryce Young type of player. But like Young was such an outlier. He was always a bizarre like number one overall choice to me. In that he's 5'10" and he's like well under 200 pounds. It's like I can't believe he hasn't gotten seriously hurt. Like that's honestly remarkable to me. Because he's so small. So I mean, props to him for avoiding injury, but like I mean, he can't see over his offensive line, man. I mean, it's not a secret. I mean, even guys like Kyler Murray, who's got like 2 inches on him, they have trouble seeing over their offensive line sometimes. He's got to scramble out.
Have you seen
Like,
that picture of like Kyler Murray next to Bryce Young? And it's like it makes Kyler Murray look big. And I've never seen Kyler Murray look big.
Kyler Murray looks jacked compared to Bryce Young. Because Kyler Murray was like an actual like he's actually like thick. Like he's like 200 pounds, like above
Yeah,
200 pounds. So
Kyler is like an athlete in every sense of the word. If you guys don't remember, not only was he the number one pick in the NFL draft, but he was the number 8 pick in the MLB draft, like the year before. Like the Oakland
yeah,
A's took him number 8 overall. So I mean, he has that sort of like baseball stature as well. But the thing with Kyler is, and I mean, both of these guys get destroyed for their heights. With Kyler, like it can sort of work a little bit with Kyler because he has 99th percentile speed
Yeah.
and like agility and elusiveness. Like it is hard to catch Kyler Murray, and he also has a hell of an arm. Like
Yeah.
he has a bit of a cannon like on him, whereas Bryce Young just doesn't have any of that, and he's just sort of like small, and he just happened to go to Alabama, so he was the number one overall pick.
Yeah, Bryce is just a weird one to me, but like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like you still got to beat him, right? And I think that's the other thing about this game is like, yes, like the Panthers are the number 32 team in most power rankings, right? Everybody thinks they're bad. It's a division game. These are always spicy, even when it's sort of inexplicable. Um, the Falcons have to shut down the run, like you said. Chuba Hubbard is their best option, and like shout out to the Panthers for selecting a good receiver. I think Tet McMillan is very legit.
Oh,
Um,
that's a beast. Like it
so
was,
like you're gonna,
yeah.
but it's like they have so little else on that team. It's just like Chuba Hubbard and Tet McMillan and like Hunter Renfro. If you get into short yardage, like he can like catch a touchdown. Like that's what he does. Like he is a short yardage option that can do nifty route running. But he's a one trick pony. Like he's not a guy that's really good anywhere outside of short yardage or red zone stuff. Um, so they don't really have a second pitch. It's like Chuba Hubbard or Tet McMillan, and then Bryce Young is going to put the ball in harm's way. So we're probably going to be playing from behind. Um, it's just like this is not a good setup for them, and we know that. And this is not a good matchup. The Falcons defense has been getting pressure. And this Panthers offensive line might be the worst in the NFL now, or close to it. I mean, that interior is god awful. You know, Chandler Zavala, I think, was the NFL's worst pass protecting guard over the last 2 years. So, um, that's not a great setup. Cade Mays, the Panthers, I believe, like cut him or were planning to cut him. Because he wasn't really performing. I think he's a serviceable backup center, but like, not someone that you really ever want starting.
Cade Mays is a guy that Georgia fans will know well because of the whole like incident that happened with like him and going to Tennessee and his dad, and it was just sort of like,
Yeah,
man, well that's a name. That's a name for sure.
that's a good name drop. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the drama, so yeah, you Georgia fans, there's even more hatred here. But, um, the other side of the coin is that the Panthers defense is just it's not up to the task. You know, and if they're down two more defensive linemen, they were already super thin. Like, I liked Nick Scorton, who they took. I thought Princely Umanmielen, who was their other, they doubled up on edge rusher too, but like Princely, like at the Senior Bowl, completely disappeared. He was a non-factor, and I was like, I'm out. Like if you can't show up at the Senior Bowl, I don't trust you in the NFL. Like I don't care how many people you beat up in college. If you can't show out against real talent, you can't commit to this event. That's a big red flag for me. Scorton, like I think is a good player. He's not really there yet. You can tell he hasn't played well for them yet, and Princely's like not playing much at all. They don't really have anyone, and they cut Clowney. Like, why the hell would you move on from Jadeveon Clowney? He was your only good edge rusher. Like, why are we moving on from your only like? Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney's not a great pass rusher anymore, but he's a really good run defender. Like, I don't understand why they moved on from him. Now they have nobody. They have Derek Brown, and guess what? Guess what happens if you only have one good defensive lineman? He's going to get doubled every play and be a non-factor.
They'll give him Brady Jarrett treatment.
Yes, and that's exactly where I was going to go. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's like we had a great defensive lineman, and Grady Jarrett in his prime could just never rack up the stats because the Falcons could never find anyone else to pair with him. He was just getting doubled every play. And that's exactly what's going to happen to Derek Brown this season. And it's just a shame because he is great. You're absolutely right. And yeah, Blue Jacket for life. Falcons should sign Clowney. I mean, I would sign Clowney. He's a great run defender. I would be happy to have him as a part of my rotation as like a specialist. But like, they're down Pat Jones, who's playing I think a significant role for them. Tershawn Wharton, they brought in as like one of their run defenders. Like, they're allowing 5.2 yards per carry. Adnan, this is not a good setup for them. The Vikings were a much better run defense, and the Falcons put up 218 rushing yards. So
yeah, and they're only facing one of the best running backs in the NFL, who is coming off of just a monster Thanos-like performance against the Minnesota Vikings and Bijan Robinson, who, I mean, look, man, like Bijan, some of those things he was doing was like, I can't do that in Madden. And he's just like doing that in like in real life. Like it was incredible. Like I think outside of maybe Saquon Barkley, like this is the best running back in the league, and Saquon won't be number one for much longer. I'll tell you that if he is right now.
Yeah. No, I mean it like Bijan is like that guy that just presses the spin button at like random times, and it but like for Bijan it just works. Like it doesn't matter. like you'll be pressing it and you'll just immediately get tackled for a loss. But like Bijan presses the spin button and he just escapes somehow. Like that play where he just took this, like it was an errant snap and he just was like, I'm taking this, and just took it and got like 7 yards off of it.
Yeah,
Um
everyone was asking if that was on purpose, and I think Zach Robinson like clarified. It's like
no.
no, that wasn't
No,
supposed to happen.
because of how it was, because of how surprised Penix looks. I thought it was obvious that it wasn't intentional because of how surprised Penix looked. But, um, it's just, yeah. I mean, great stuff. And yeah, I mean that was the one thing. Like the Falcons did not run the ball well against the Bucks. We know the Bucks are one of the premier run defenses in the NFL, but still, it was bad. So they I think they probably drilled it hard. Like we need to get this run game going. We need to get this fixed. This is like supposed to be the consistent throughput of our offense, is that we're going to be able to pound the rock when we want to. And props to them. They fixed they got the run game where it needed to go. They got that in order. And I think this Panthers team, like like again, it's like I know some folks asked like, oh, like are the Falcons going to pass more? Like should they pass more? And it's like maybe they don't need to. And this is something we talked about on Tuesday Takes, but like you can see the difference in the strategy between the Falcons and the Vikings. The Falcons were like, we're going on the road to Minnesota, to one of the most difficult environments in the NFL to play. We're not going to ask our rookie quarterback to go out here and beat the Vikings defense. We're not going to ask our rookie quarterback to outsmart Brian Flores. We're not going to do that unless we have to. Do I think they would have changed the game plan and been more aggressive in the passing game if they got behind? Yeah, they would have had to. But they didn't have to. There was never a need for it. So they just were at a certain point. I think Zach Robinson was like, yeah, we're just going to run the ball. Sooner or later, the Vikings aren't going to be able to stop it. They're going to run out of gas. So as long as we can hold our lead, we're just going to keep running the ball. And he was absolutely correct. And it's the complete opposite of what the Vikings did. The Vikings were like, we trust J.J. McCarthy. He's going to go. He's going to beat up on this bad Falcons defense. And they were absolutely incorrect. He threw a pick immediately. They were in bad down and distance. They gave the Falcons tons of short fields. Like, maybe it's not. Maybe you don't have to go prove to anyone how good your quarterback is. Maybe just run the damn ball if you can. Like, why not? Why not?
Yeah, in fairness, the Falcons were stacking the box.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, I mean Bryce Young didn't really make it easy on himself either. Like, I did he like? I think he slipped on that like quarterback sneak early on. And that was, by the way, a really bold call. It's like on what your first drive of the game.
Yeah, and it was like deep in their territory too.
It's like on their own 38.
I was like, Jesus Christ, yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, yeah, he fumbled the ball in the red zone when they finally like had a chance to like score a touchdown. Fumbled the ball. He had 3 fumbles. Like he had 3 fumbles, lost one of them. Sure, he recovered a couple of them, but yeah, that plus the inaccuracy, plus 2 interceptions. Like he looked dreadful. Like it was just it was awful. Like it gave me shades of Desmond Ridder.
Who is now on the Vikings, by the way. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, shout out to Desmond Ridder. I'm glad he's back. I mean, like for all the shade we throw at Desmond, like I do wish him success, and I hope he does eventually catch on.
I do too, even though it may not seem like it. But you know, I have nothing at all against Al. I wish him a lot of success. I wish him a long NFL career.
Yep, but no, I just don't remember the last time the Falcons made a quarterback like pee their pants on national television. Like I just don't like when was the last time this happened? I mean, that Adrian Claiborne game, maybe. Like
when it comes to making a quarterback pee their, maybe I want to say Derek Carr on the Raiders, because that was the last time the Falcons, I think, gave up only 6 points or fewer in a game, and I think they got him for like I think it was a pick six or a fumble six. They got six off of him for
Mhm.
sure. But yeah, I think that's the game that comes to mind of like the last time the Falcons really, really like sort of destroyed a quarterback in that way.
I mean, the Falcons just and like in his own stadium too. Like JJ McCarthy in a friendly stadium got absolutely destroyed by a
And,
Falcons defense.
and
Like,
that stadium was loud
oh,
too. Like you
that was
you saw it on the
insane.
Falcons' first drive.
Yeah,
Like I think we were all losing our minds at that sequence where they take a timeout to avoid a delay of game penalty just to like the next play. I think it was like a false start
yeah,
just to like eventually like have to snap the ball like with 1 second left or like as the game clock was like running out. I don't know if they like ended up taking like a delay of game, but it was just like
it was
so
ugly. Yeah,
it was so bad. Like I remember just like seeing Penix break the huddle with 7 seconds left. It's like, what are we doing? Like this is. But I mean, credit to the Vikings crowd too. Like they made it difficult. Like that
yeah,
is one of the loudest stadiums in the league.
yeah. And like again, this is like Penix didn't have some crazy game. He didn't go out there and light the NFL on fire. But guess who the only quarterback in the NFL is with zero turnover worthy plays through 2 games? Michael Penix Jr. He like that is so impressive. Like, and I would say like what of his interceptions last year, like were any of them legitimately like his fault? One of them was a route miscommunication, and 2 of them were tips.
One of them was just like Kyle Pitts,
Yeah,
like putting the ball in the defender's
and
hands, and
then
it's
Ray Ray was the other one I think who also tipped it. So it was um, like it was just yeah. I mean, like I'm kind of surprised because he was known as such a gunslinger at Washington. Not that he threw a lot of picks, but like that he was really willing to take chances. He hasn't really put the ball in harm's way. So
so
props to him. Props to
I
him.
think what's helping him in that is like he will overshoot it, but not over the middle. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna overshoot it like down the sideline, and it's gonna be all right. It's either like if my guy's not getting it, nobody's getting it. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a great change from that year, like 2 years ago, where Desmond Ritter led the league in turnover worthy plays, and they just weren't happening until they just like started happening, because it was always gonna like regress to the mean, like on that. Like I remember defenses were just dropping all of his picks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's what we need the Falcons to make Bryce Young pee his pants on Sunday. That's my personal hope. So maybe you can. I'm going to change the title of the episode. It's like Falcons need to make Bryce Young pee his pants on in week 3. But like just go out there. Like this is your opportunity. Like everyone is like ready to take like I feel like the NFL is kind of like more like ready to like support the Falcons. Like I think kind of everyone is like ready. Like this team is now it's been a long time since the Super Bowl. It's been a long time since they've been relevant. The Falcons are now one of those teams that I think if they start being good, like they have a really likable quarterback, a super likable running back, a coach that everyone pretty much universally loves, like whether former players or whatever. Um, this team is like ready for the national media to like embrace as a like just like the team that comes out of kind of like 2016 where it was like this team has everything and they haven't been like they haven't gotten over the hump but everyone's like ready to like kind of embrace them and like don't like we all know like everyone like America was cheering for the Falcons against the Patriots so like that was no question like this team could be that team again this year like if they need to like make a statement here like don't play a mediocre game don't definitely don't blow it. If you blow it, we're gonna have major questions here that we don't want to have to answer those questions. So don't go down that road. Go down the road of beat the shit out of
Yeah.
the Panthers in week 3. Go
Still,
kick their ass. Go kick their
basically,
ass.
basically, don't be the same old Falcons.
Yeah.
Please just don't be the same. Like turn a new leaf. And the thing is, it's not just the NFL; it's the fan base. This fan base is looking for some reason. You have to prove to this fan base at this point, and I said it at the beginning of the season, prove to them that you are worthy of our trust. I'm not speaking now as a member of the media. I'm not speaking as, anyone like, objective alcoholic writer or whatever. I'm speaking as a, Adnan the Atlanta Falcons fan since my whole life. Like prove to us that we can that we can trust you. Like you have betrayed this trust year in and year out. Last year was the year. Like last year had to be the year where you sort of won 10 games. You finally broke this playoff drought, and you sort of proved it to us. It didn't happen again. It was another gotcha. We came out looking, it was that meme, the clown meme, where the guy's putting on the clown makeup. That was us last season. After talking all that shit, like in the off season, just like how Panthers fans were after talking all that shit when it was like 6-30. Back up our shit talk, man. Like we're in the trenches on Twitter. We're in the trenches on social media against these other fan bases defending your honor, and you just sort of betray us time in and time out. And it's like, just like for once, just sort of have our backs, like have our backs, and just sort of do it for us, do it for the fans, and just sort of figure it out for once.
Yes, like just beat the Panthers. Like again, like we would all love for you to just kick the shit out of them, but like just beat them, and it's fine. Like I'm not gonna be upset if you just beat the Panthers, but like it would be nice if you could make a statement this week. Like go out there, show the NFL that this Vikings game is the real, not week 1. Like week 2 is the real Falcons. This is a team that can smother an offense that's struggling in their home stadium and put up 200 plus rushing yards and maybe use a little play action so we can score 30, Like I feel like the Falcons throw a few more play actions in there and we get 30 points, Just go take care of business, and if you can, this could be your coming out party. This could be you blow out the Panthers this week, everyone's going to be talking about the Falcons. Not that like they're some great team, but it's like, oh, the Falcons are 2-1. They just beat the crap out of a division rival. Like we don't think that the Panthers are very good, but now going into week 4 against the Commanders, it's like, oh, now this is a team we have to watch. So
now I will say, I don't think we'll be there yet. Even if they blow out the Panthers, I mean, I don't think we'll be there with the national media yet, but I do think it will set the stage to get there with the national media next week.
Yes,
you beat the Panthers, you're 2-1, and you are setting the stage against a team that just went to the NFC Championship game in the Washington Commanders, the upstarts last year, who are now one of the media darlings coming into this season. And then if you prove yourself against Washington, and if you come out of there at 3-1, now it's like, okay, now we have to sort of take the Falcons seriously. Then if you come out of the bye week and you perform against the Bills, who are like, the Buffalo Bills are the media darling.
Yes,
like
they are the team to beat. Yeah.
Like not just that, but like Josh Allen and the Bill, like they are the team. Like they are the guys that like the media has put the crown on. Yeah, I get it. The Chiefs are there. The Eagles just won the title, but for some reason the media loves Josh Allen. The media loves the Bills. Like I think someone like how I know? CBS tweeting out like Josh Allen's arm punt from last season, which was an interception in the end zone that the defender just happened to take out and get dropped at the 1. And it's just like, I think people said like at that point you knew he won the MVP, because it's like, all right, the media is now just like sort of like glazing at this point. But yeah, it's like you can really sort of set the stage to really, really earn some respect over these next few weeks for sure. But it starts now.
It starts. You got to do this. Like before we talk about any of that, exactly. It's like I know exactly where you're going. It's like if you don't do this, like we can't have those conversations. Now we're talking about we gotta regroup and circle the wagons because you just blew a game to the Panthers. Let's not have that conversation. Let's have the conversation that we were just having, where we're talking about we can now become a force in this conference if we beat the Commanders in week 4, instead of we need to beat the Commanders in week 4 so we don't fall to 1-3 after the Bills game. Like, it just, it's very different outlook.
Tom Cake put it very well. You got to eat your veggies before you can have that dessert. And you can't get that dessert again of that recognition against Washington and Buffalo and these teams without taking care of business first against one of the lowliest teams you'll face all season.
Yeah, and this like Panthers team is like undercooked, like unsalted broccoli. You just gotta find a way to get it down. You just gotta chew it. You gotta get through it, and you'll be so healthy and like full of like good vitamins afterwards. But like it's gonna be gross But you just got to get through it. So that's what they got to do. And then we go in and we try. But yeah, I do want to shout out Bills fans. Since the Falcons were playing, you guys know I live in upstate New York. Since the Falcons were playing late, I was like, oh, I can actually go to a sports bar at like 1 and like watch a normal game. So I went to the Bills bar, that's in Syracuse, and it was like Bills Mafia. Like, shout out to you guys. You guys know how to have a good time. It was just packed. And this was for Bills versus Jets. This is like not an important game. Like, yeah, it's a division game, but everyone there knew they were gonna beat the shit out of the Jets, right? The place was packed. Like, these guys were having a great time. So shout out to Bills Mafia. It was a lot of fun to hang out with the Bills fans. And I'm looking forward to that game. Game.
Not much to do up in upstate New York.
Yeah. So this is what they got. The snow hasn't fallen yet, Adnan. So it's still like you could still go outside. But yeah.
But I think we'll see it during that Monday night game. Bills Mafia travels very famously, and I think we will see a lot of them at Mercedes-Benz Stadium during that game for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Falcoholic Live. Big game this weekend. It should be a win for this Falcons team, but they don't have our trust yet. That you win this game handily. You'll be earning our trust with this. So go take care of it. Make a statement this week. Even if the statement is you can trust us to beat bad teams, that's okay. But
that's a great statement.
That's fine.
I haven't
that's fine.
trusted through that either. Like, I haven't trusted that in years.
Yeah, no, Southside. They didn't. No, the tables were all broken before I got there. We got there after the game started, so I think they do that in the pregame. But yeah, we just take care of business. Prove to us that we can trust you to beat bad teams, and we'll take it from there. But this could be the start of a nice season. Like, week 1 made us a little cautious, but again, we caution, don't overreact. Week 2, the opposite. It's like, wow, this looks great. Also, don't overreact. Now, week 3, this is when you start to learn who teams are. This should be a game that you can go win. It's on the road. It's a division opponent, but it's the worst team in the NFL, right? So go beat them. Go beat them handily if you can, but just come away with a win, and we start to build this trust and start to really ramp up this hype train. Going into the middle part of the season. So
do it for the fan base.
Do it for us.
Do it for the little guy.
We've been fighting for our backs are so scarred with all the times we've been stabbed. Like, I mean, it's unreal. So like, if you could just not stab us again, that would be fantastic. So thanks, guys. But
you think we would have learned by now, but we just keep turning our backs.
I'm ready to get hurt again, so but guys, thanks so much for joining us here on the Falcoholic Live. You can follow Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. I'm at Falcoholic Kevin. Please do like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 10K by the end of the season. We're getting close to 9K, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Really appreciate that. Also, if you could take some time, go leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Spotify is growing, so if you're on Spotify, you could do it there too. I know Apple Podcasts is what most people use, but both of them would help us out a lot. If you want to support the show, you can do so. Patreon.com/FalcoholicLive, or you can join up with the YouTube channel memberships here. Check out thefalcoholic.com for all that great written content. I will be out over the next several days, so don't look for too much from me. Like I said, I'm back home, so I'm visiting family. I will, of course, be back for Sunday and covering the game. We'll have the post game for you guys. There will be a game preview that I pre-recorded coming out on Friday, so you can look for that as well for some more sort of in-depth matchup analysis from this game. But yeah, we'll be back on Sunday for the post-game show, and then we'll be right into week 4 against the Commanders, which hopefully we'll have some good news going into that game. We can get really hyped for what could be a pretty critical NFC matchup here, because Commanders and Falcons, hopefully the Falcons are contending for the division, but if not, the Commanders are going to be one of the top wildcard opponents for sure. So definitely a meaningful game for the standings, for tiebreakers, and just for bragging rights. We got to get revenge for how that game ended last year. So, Adnan, anything else you want to get to before we sign off tonight?
Plugging series history, as well as what if Falcons win and lose. Both of those are going this weekend. I actually haven't started writing either one of them, so I'll probably get to that here in the next couple of days. But yeah, no, definitely shout out. Fuck, man, I'll how would it feel if we were 2-0 right now is all I'm saying. Like, how would it feel had we just gotten it done against the Bucks? If we're 2-0 going into this to be 3-0, like, man, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't
know. Like, I feel like weirdly good about one, because I wonder, like, if that loss like really did kind of like recenter them and like kind of kick them in the balls a little bit, where they're like, okay, we really have to like tighten up. We got to fix this run game. We got to fix our special teams. Like, I wonder if they get the Bucks win if they I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe that Bucks loss was the kick in the balls they needed to like really dial, like really dig in. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, I would much rather they won that game. Like, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
maybe the upside of it is that it was kind of the kick in the balls they needed to really take this seriously and kind of focus up. So that maybe
But
that's the only upside of it. But
not to dwell on the past or anything, but man, I am, yeah, definitely 1-1. I mean, hey, man, if you, I think we all would have signed up for 2-1 to
oh
start
yeah,
this. If we, looking back on the summer after the schedule came out. So yeah, let's get it done. Let's go to 2-1. Let's blow the Panthers out. Let's win by double digits. Let's win by multiple possessions. And yeah, let's make a statement that though that team is still a bottom feeder in the NFL, and let's kick them right back into the basement where they belong, fighting for scraps with the New Orleans Saints. And let's move on to bigger and better things against Washington, Buffalo, and San Francisco after that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And speaking of the Bucks, like real quick, I saw this come in during the recording. Cody Mock out for the season with knee surgery
Wow,
for the
that's
Bucks.
big. That's
And
big.
Mock was really like last year took a big step forward, and this year also was playing very well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So now the Bucks down. Tristan Wirfs still he will be back at some point. Godake's not practicing, and now Mock is out for the season. So um, that and then Kalijah Cansey also out for the season. That was earlier this week. So the Bucks again, like this is a team that's very good, but they're starting to take on some attrition now as well. Everybody in the NFL is, but and that's what people have asked me. It's like, oh, like how important is it for the Bucks to lose this game or that game? It's like, I don't really try to get too much into that. It's always nice when someone else can hand them an L, but like the Falcons got to take care of business, right? Falcons got to go take care of business, win their games, so we don't have to worry about people beating the Bucks. But yeah, there's no doubt like that team is hurting right now. Baker Mayfield was on the injury report today too, so he practiced, but I mean yeah,
I mean, look, man, credit to them because they've done it for years at this point. They just sort of always, I mean, that Texans game was such a great microcosm of it. They just sort of always somehow get it done, even when like the odds are stacked against them. And I mean, it's a testament to Baker, man.
yeah, he's great. I
He,
mean, like
he
no
has,
slander. Baker Mayfield pisses me off, but like he's playing so well. Like if I wasn't a Falcons fan, I would probably think he was like one of the most fun quarterbacks in the NFL to watch. Um, so like I try to like separate that and be objective that he's like objectively one of the most fun quarterbacks in the NFL to watch. If I wasn't like hoping the Bucks lose all the time, I would probably like watching him a lot more. But
I mean, look,
yeah,
man, Baker's a great story. But I just hate that the Bucks just got him for free,
yeah,
and that they sort of it's one of those things where it's like it's just not fair. They got Tom Brady in free agency, and then they go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, and just sort of don't miss much of a beat when it comes, at least when it comes to the division. Obviously,
yeah,
Baker isn't Tom Brady, but I mean, to get Baker for just that cheap and to spend no draft capital on him is just sort of like that. That's just a hell of a job by their management, by their coaching staff, and I mean, yeah, to get what's been honestly Baker has been a top 10 quarterback in the league like the
yeah,
past few years. I would say he's very, very comfortably right now, probably one of the top three quarterbacks in the NFC. And it's been rough having to sort of like compete against him in the Bucks the past few years because they keep getting it done and the Falcons just don't get it done. And this is the result. And this year, hopefully you can sort of like flip that script a little bit.
yeah, exactly. And one thing I will say about Baker is he's like tied, I think, or close to the lead in the NFL in turnover worthy play percent, and he's thrown no interceptions. That's not going to last. Like he has the most insane luck. Like the Falcons dropped 5 picks from Baker, and the Texans dropped 3. So like that's not going to last. He's gonna start throwing picks, but will that matter or not? For them, maybe they can survive it, maybe they can't. But they've been flying by their seat of their pants a little bit, and they kind of had to in this early stretch with waiting for Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin to get back. But he's got to be more careful with the football, or because that is not going to last. Like, it's not sustainable. There's no way you can lead the league or be close to the league lead in turnover worthy play percentage and not turn the ball over. It's gonna happen. So, it's a little bit of I think fool's gold with the Bucs right now, and I think everyone kind of knows that. Like, they're very injured, and they just barely scrape by the Texans, barely scrape by the Falcons. The Falcons outplayed the Bucs, I would say. So, but it doesn't matter if you get the wins. I don't know if that's going to keep happening for them, but we'll see.
The Jets this week, so
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're probably gonna win that one too. So I'm not too worried about that one. But
then they play the Eagles.
Yeah,
it gets tougher after that.
That could be a little dicey.
Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers, and Lions. Like that. It's a pretty rough.
It's a little tougher. We got a couple last minute thoughts from George Costanza here. Thank you, George. Glad you could make it. George with the $2 says, we won the game, so we need Adnan to get some chocolate Twizzlers to celebrate.
George, we'll do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't been looking, but I will.
Okay. If we blow out the Panthers this week, Adnan's gonna get some chocolate Twizzlers. So
I'll find some. Hey man, if we beat the Bills,
you can get some more pickle slushies. Load them up. Yeah.
That was nasty that one time I did it. I don't think they're doing. I don't think
they're doing that anymore. That was not profitable for them. But yeah, he says if Jaden Daniels isn't healthy for week 4, as long as Josh Dobbs isn't coming off the bench, I like our chances. That could be the Marcus Mariota revenge games. You gotta be careful there.
Oh yeah. Look, man, Jaden Daniels. Like, even if he's at 70%, that would be a huge blow for the Commanders. Because remember last year he cooked the Falcons with his legs. Like that.
He needed it. Yeah, they needed that. Yeah.
They needed every bit of those rushing yards in that game. And if he's hobbled, and if he can't really, and it's a knee injury, if he can't really do that against the Falcons, then it's going to be advantage Atlanta for sure in that game. I would peg the Falcons as favorites if Jaden is hobbled.
Yeah. All right, we got one more from George here at the $2. Thank you, George. Says, I'm not overlooking the Panthers by any means, but Carolina is trash, and Bryce is below average to average. I think Adnan would disagree with you there. I think he would say Bryce Young is trash.
Yeah, I'd say he's bad. I think average is doing a lot for average is there's 32 starting quarterbacks. Average is 16th. Average is, I think, JJ McCarthy's ceiling. But Bryce Young, I think right now out of 32 is 30. I think he's bad. Man, it's been a hell of a show for me to push my anti Bryce Young and anti JJ McCarthy agenda.
This is great. Your hate agenda this year is just 100%. Yeah.
My hate agenda is thriving this year.
Yeah.
Those guys suck. And I've been saying they'll suck all off season. It feels good. Feels good getting vindicated. I just hope that I can continue taking victory laps this year.
Yeah. No, I hope so too, as my camera decides to turn off for some reason. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Thanks again to George. George also says, to quote the late Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. Only difference is we're not going to let them off the hook. Yeah. So, I like it. But, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Falcoholic Live, presented by FanDuel. We will be back. I'll have a game preview for you guys on Friday, and then we will be back for the post-game coverage at 1 p.m. the game starts at 1 p.m. We'll be, whenever the game is over, we'll have the post-game coverage. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Like, subscribe, leave that 5-star review, and we will see you guys on Sunday. Until then, have a great day, folks. Great night. Thanks for tuning in with us. And let's get a big win, get a big dub on Sunday, and make a statement in week 3. Let's do it. Have a good night, guys.